is important, we are going to make an overview. You are going to collaborate also with people outside this course, I hope so, because technically there is one person from Accademia di Ivrea inside the mailing list, but she is one, but basically behind her there are around 40-50 artists, okay? They didn't join all together because we wanted to have a simple way to communicate, but actually they are going to come into play now, okay? So the point is that it's not just a matter to communicate between us, that more or less we are all computer scientists or computer engineer or computer engineering related people, but also with other people. Okay. All the elements, the slides that you find here are taken from the chapter from the game design workshop and the art of game design by Shell. That's the guide for, I said it before. So the game design document is basically something that is used to communicate in two ways. Well, first of all, to communicate because when you're writing down some stuff, it's a way to clarify your thought. Okay. The other way is also as a memory of what has been your decisions. Okay. And the idea is that it allows you to collaborate even remotely without every time meeting, and also as a point where everything is fixed and we all agree on that one, just to put there a firm point about the development. Okay. So you're writing there both something that is very abstract, like the vision of the game, what it should be, why a game should be, my game should be scary, why it should be scary, okay? So if we, in the development, we change some stuff, we go back there and we said, we forgot that the game should be scary. On the other hand, there could be also technical decisions, like we are not going to do a 3D, okay? We are going to do a 2.5D, and we're going to do this. We cannot allow, I don't know, the player to do everything, okay? Or these are the actions that a player is allowed to do. For instance, in an adventure game, you cannot let completely, especially in a project of your size, you cannot let the player do whatever they want, okay? So, in a way, it's like the blueprint of the old game. And there's two purposes, as I said, memory and communication. Memory is just because if me and Eugenio or Federico, we decided that the game is going to be flat 2D on this side, and we are going to have simple animation or no animation and no music or many colors, whatever we decided, that's it. Once it's there, yes, we can change it, but at least we have to change it, we have to agree again on the changes, otherwise we can go on and work. And obviously communication, okay? So one of the things is that from time to time you might think that you decided something that you haven't, you think you're going to remember your decision, and at the end you're not going to do that. Or for instance, you think that you discuss the solution to a specific problems, like whether to use the coroutine or not in Unity, or whether to do one thing or the other. But at some point you are going to forget that. Your design document is the basic way to record all those design decisions. It's a living creature. It's not that once you've decided, that's it. Okay. But the point here is that once it's there, to modify, we discuss and we modify it. We can modify it, but then still we go all together toward the goal to make the game. Okay. And the other way is also to communicate to the many people involved. So it's obvious that you can say, okay, we are 3 programmers, we can really talk to each other and we can really easily communicate. But for instance, you might have a sound designer, and you might have a graphic artist, a 3D artist, okay? And so at some point you decide that, for instance, the size of the number of polygons involved in your design should not exceed some stuff. All those information, everything there should be there. And in a way, it's also easier to communicate the idea. Even, for instance, if you have the portfolio of all the art of the game that gives you the feel of the game, it should be there, okay? as I said, it looks like you're wasting time to do it, but in the short time, for instance, just starting now, it looks like it's much easier to say, okay, we are going to do it later. But actually, it's easier to start now, and so that, for instance, in December, when you are going all crazy doing the prototype, all the decisions are there, are fixed, and there is no issue about that. You fix there and you go there. There are around 12 types of documents in the current design process, okay, in a company, just for saying it. As I said, the old stuff, it becomes all one game design documents, or at the end it becomes the game Bible. And there are all ways to communicate between the people, okay? So you have a way to communicate between the artist and the engineering. And this type of communication is typically that's, if you talk to every developer, at some point it happens, that you ask for art to somebody, to the artists, and you cannot afford to have more than 1,000 polygons, and they come back with 10,000 polygons, and you cannot make them, they are not useful, so you have to communicate between these two entities. Or in the design, you decide that your game is going to be an horror game of some type. That's with the management, you have to obviously communicate this to the management and to the marketing people that might be involved in some of the decision, because obviously it affects. And here there are some, you know. What you probably a lot of your game design is of your document will be, for instance, the game design overview. So what is going to be your game, and what is going to be the feeling. And in a way, please remember that you voted a concept. You are going to join a team based on a concept, but it's a living creature. You can actually modify a little bit the concept. You can contribute to the concept. Obviously, the concept must be in a way remain there. It's not that you start with an FPS and you end up with Super Mario, right? But still, for instance, I could have the idea that my game is an horror game because I kill people around, and on the other hand, I could, one of the things says, okay, but if we do a lot of violence, then we cannot have, our rating is too high, we cannot give it to kids, so we could do something less, and we can get our audience. So it's a change in the concept a little bit, but that doesn't change completely the game. Okay, so it's so in a way, this is what you are going to work first. You know, your idea of the game altogether. Okay, so this one is also another part where you're going to work a lot. When you have the game mechanics, what you are going to do. What you're going to do. Even simple mechanics, is it going to be a tap experience, it's going to be a touch experience, it's going to be a joystick experience, a joypad experience, what you want to do. And also type of interfaces you want to use, etc. Okay. As I said, it helps, well, more or less in this case, as you probably you remember the discussion we had with the people from the seats. They said in the small companies, everybody is doing all their roles, like a programmer and designer. So in a way, it's a way, this part where you detail the parts of the mechanics and the interfaces and the way of the interaction. It's a way that to exchange your ideas and also to have them firm there on a document, so that we all know what we agreed upon. And also for the artist, it's very important to give a sense of the whole thing. If you have some narration, I don't remember how many games of yours might have a part of narrations. Then you have a story overview. Several games, they have the intro, like the onboarding part, that is going to be a story overview. There is a second part about the writings. And then you have the more technical design documentations. Really, here is I don't know how many of these you are going to, how many of these parts you might be interested into this. Okay. For instance, if you are working with artists and they are working remotely, it would be very nice for you to decide upon, for instance, type of format, resolution, etc. Okay? For instance, I go back and forth with, even for simple 2D images, I go back and forth with artists. And it's really interesting because for me it's obvious to think that, for instance, iPad 3, I need art that it must be around 2048. But people, even if they are artists, they are using the iPad, they don't know that. So every time they come back to me with asking what is the resolution, that color depth, etc., etc. So fixing something like this one, it could be interesting as a first way to speed up the collaboration with designers and graphics. As I said, system limitations is typically if you want the number of polygons. For the Unity, we are going to see, we are going to have a workshop about optimization in Unity. For Unity, it's the draw calls, the parameters that you have to optimize. That's basically the times that GPU is passing by to make the final picture. Obviously, you can avoid not to think about this, as I said other times, but then it means that your game will go in either work only on big platforms, or either it will work on a smaller platform, lower platform like iPad 1, but it will consume much more battery. Okay, so you really don't want that. If you work with the artists, one other thing you can keep, you might think to keep, is the art Bible, where you have all the guidelines to get the game art consistent. So think that you're working with two artists. They have different styles. Okay. If you keep the art separated, then you don't have a single place where you see them all together. So suppose that you are waiting, suddenly the art come in. When you put that together, they look really weird. Okay? I don't know, one is working in raster, the other one is working in vectorial with a completely different feeling. So keeping a single place where you have all the art that is coming down, that is arriving, it could be a nice way to see possible discrepancy. Okay? And then, as I said, game budget you don't care. Product schedule, it could be nice to have a very short schedule, something like you expect that guy to do this thing, the artist to do this, so that everybody agrees on what to do when, okay? And when is the deadline. Story Bible, I don't remember if we have any game that is accepted with a big thing about story, but I don't think so. If you have NPC that are talking, like the one from Doom and Destiny that you've seen at IGDS, you might have this, where the dialogues were very important, then you might have actually the entire story script. You might have a tutorial and manual. The manual you can forget it because typically nobody reads it. What was the last manual you read? The game tutorial is very interesting. You could have it, and it's interesting that typically, I think it was in the game design workshop or in another place like Level Up, in another book, where they say basically the tutorial and the first level, the first 2 or 3 levels of the game, you should do them as the last level you are going to ever to do that. And the point is very simple. When a player starts, it starts with a tutorial and with the first, second, third level. Okay? So they must be very good to be catchy, to get the player. Okay? So you should do them as a level designer at the end of the game, when you have a lot of experience with a lot of experiments with your game, so you know exactly how things work. Okay? So, if you want to think about the tutorial, what the tutorial should do, okay, at least to put it there, to put that. The last type of design documents they cited around is the game walkthrough, and it's interesting because it's not done by the designer but by the player. And basically what happens is that they are analyzed by the designers. So typically designers go and check out the game walkthroughs, because people make comments. I don't know whether you followed any game walkthroughs for, I don't know, I think I followed some part of Dead Space when I was not going out from some part. And it's very interesting because they make comments about the game design, and they are very interesting. So again, going back to Jesse Shell cards, when you're thinking about the documents, what you should ask yourself about among all these documents, what do you really need to remember while making this game, and what you really need to communicate. For instance, you don't have any artist, you don't care. You have only squares and something like this, you don't care. Okay, about many of them. You have many artists, then you have to include something else. Also, I didn't touch anything about music, but basically you can think about, again, similar to the art. Okay? As I said, one of the things is that it's a living document and it's updated around the production. You shouldn't think about writing now, so something like say, now we write the design document. No, let's start putting the design document. So what is your plan and schedule? Okay, how do you feel, for instance, discuss now. Do you have any exam to give? How long are you going to give you time? When do you want to put more time in development so that you can have, for instance, immediately the schedule? Again, it should be quite, especially for your production, quite small. Apart, if you have the hard Bible, then it could be a huge number of pages with sketches and stuff like this. It's not a substitute for team meetings. Don't think that since you have the documents don't meet. Actually, you should meet a lot. Anyway, even after or before the lectures. Okay, it could be an idea. So this is kind of the thing you could have in your case. This is a short version of a whole design document made for a small project, and actually follows these two examples of design document. If you remember, this one was the one that I gave you as a game concept, because in many cases game concept and design document can go together. There is no official format, obviously. Okay. So one of the things that I actually, it happened the first year I had this course, and actually later it didn't happen anymore. As I said, don't write the document like somebody's going to read it outside. Okay, so sometimes when I read the first design documents I got 4 years ago, it was almost like they were writing a story for me, but it's not like that. Okay, so your goal is to communicate to your production team, to you, among you. So you really don't have to be distracted by trying to make it pretty or anything else. Okay. One of the things that you can do at the beginning, that's the game design part, you can do something like this, where you get the essence of the day. There should be something that is really the feeling of the game. It's something when the people see it says, yeah, that's, I don't know, it's a game about asylum, like City of Light is the one that's, was it the
Tower of Light?
No, Town of Light. Yeah, that's about asylums. Actually, they are coming to present, I think, on the 15th maybe. But for instance, it's a game about asylum. Okay, you go around, it gives you the idea of going out asylum that were abandoned. Okay, so it gives you a specific feeling. So if you agree as a team that that's the feeling, you shouldn't keep that into your mind. That's a very important part, because everybody has to agree on that. One of the things that you should agree upon is the audience platform. Marketing, don't worry, but audience and platform should be really a major thing. So, for instance, I think there is the what is it? The one that one of the project involves is inspired to space team, and he has 3 people that are collaborating to make something to make a car going around. I don't remember which one. So, for instance, you have to be very careful about the audience, because about the platform, because some platforms are compatible, some platforms are not. So, for instance, space team cannot work with Bluetooth on a mixed Android and iPhone, but it can work on, on the wireless. So there are some things that must be. I think it also Orbtail. It was expressed kind of from the top with the four corners, so it could be touch, but what kind of touch, proportion of the screen. So you should discuss this one, because it's really legal analysis. The gameplay must be, you must really discuss the gameplay. It's the most important part. Okay, everything is important. The feeling and the gameplay, the thing that is going to be important in for the player. So, and how it achieves that. So, as I said, you can have to analyze that one. So, one of the things that you can do, for instance, is to build up a flowchart. Going back to computer engineering, programming one, build a flowchart of your game, or how it should work. Okay, it can help you. For instance, this one is the flowchart for the multiplayer version of Wheel of Fortune. It can help you to keep a clear view of what is going to be the game. Okay, and all the details, without being too, too wordy or too. And obviously, you connect that one with the wireframes of the interfaces, which you should actually design, study together with the designers that you're going to find. Well, if you have a story, that's what you need. One of the things that would be very nice, for instance, I think about Fister Fly, for instance, and other places where you have a world and you have objects in the world, is to make a list of them. And actually, remember some stuff like this. If you want to add an object, remember the heuristic that Federico Fascia says. Try to make an object usable for 3 different purposes. Okay, so that you have an idea that every object, in a way, it's essential to the game. All the elements of the game must be connected to the connected medias. So what you need for interface, what you need for characters. For instance, if you have an animation, how many frames do you have? Everything. Okay, so that at least you know what you need and how you, at what point you are. And as I said, don't just delve into the thing. Start with the discussion. Start to agree with people. Go and have a pizza. Go and have to the pub. Go whatever you want to go. But start working with the team about that. Don't think about this. Don't think about the document as something that you have to do. It's useful for you. Okay. Use flowcharts and wireframes. For instance, it happened to me a couple of times, even in simple games they have to do for for students. Sometimes I didn't know how to get out of some stuff, and I used flowchart anyway. Okay. So, what about doing this stuff inside our course? So, as soon as you team up, your team must write an initial draft, version 0. At least to put your idea together. First of all, it's the vision, okay? You can say, okay, I thought fists are flying should be like Eugenia thought they were a certain way. Other people will think that it could be modified. They could elaborate that one and say this one could be too difficult. So also give a priority of features that you want to add. There are features that are essentials and features that can be delayed. Okay, give a priority because you have to write to develop a prototype by December something, 16, 14, I don't remember. So give a priority about this. Okay, but then you should have a really neat idea of what you are all working together. As I said, the draft should contain all the important elements, not in the final stage, but for instance, is it free roaming stuff, or again, all the everything that is essential for this case. The first draft can be even 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages. It is the essential part you need to start with your team, and then you can update. Okay? For me, the first thing is the vision, actually. And you should use this one. Why do you need this one? To speed up communication, because at some point you are going to have a lot of confusion. Suppose that you have a team of 3 with the other 2 designers that you're communicating by emails. That becomes really a mess. As I said, it's a reference to what has been decided. For instance, last year the team had a problem because they didn't agree. They didn't have any decision about what were the controls on their game, and they basically came out with the prototype. They came out with a completely crappy way to control the character. It was completely digital. So you had a running game like Temple Run, but the character was going in 3 positions: left, center, right. It was just because they didn't say to the guy that was working on the interface. They explicitly said it should be, fluent. It should be. I expect it to be like this. So it's a reference. And if you have issues, if you are fighting, you call me. The first thing we go to check out is the design document and the Git repository. Okay, they are the 2 things where everything is kept. As I said, as a way to solve any dispute about the development.